Again, hello, welcome to Hatty Waiver Wire Guru. Getting ready to go to week 12. We're through the bye weeks, thank goodness. So now you can just focus on guys that you want to use for injury relief or also for an underperforming player. So I'm going to go through quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end. Changing the format a little bit, I'm going to talk about who to grab, some deep sleepers, and then spot starters. Spot starters are ranked higher than deep sleepers, just keep that in mind. So we'll start with quarterbacks. I go right to deep sleepers. Your first deep sleeper is Matt Moore. He's been starting for a while for the Dolphins, throwing up not too bad numbers. Really only usable in 2 quarterback leagues or if you're in dire straits and really need somebody. So that's Matt Moore. Next, Cutler is injured. He has injury to his thumb, going to be out the remainder of the season. So if you're a Cutler owner, don't start him. Caleb Hanie's going to step in. Yet to be seen how well he's going to perform, but Hanie is someone at least right now worth stashing, and let's see how well he does. I wouldn't commit to his first week on the job, but I would say a stash could be worth it. Moving on, Vince Young. If Michael Vick's out again due to his injured ribs, Vince Young is someone who's a deep sleeper. Performed okay, won the game, but wasn't, threw a lot of interceptions. So, keep your upside potential down. Okay, so Vince Young. And finally, Rex Grossman. I never am excited about Rex Grossman. Sorry, all you Redskin fans, but Rex Grossman drives me a bit nuts. But he does find a way to put it in the end zone, so he is someone I consider a deep sleeper for sure. Moving on to running back, the grab of the week is Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith can be grabbed. Keep an eye on Javid Best. If Javid Best comes back next week, then Kevin Smith's value drops for sure. So you have to watch that. That's a buyer beware. But Kevin Smith is certainly a grab. Deep sleeper, Bernard Scott. I think he runs better than Benson. He looks fresher than Benson. He's getting more and more carries. So, somebody for a deep sleeper, if you really need somebody, you can look to him. He's not the starter there, so you got to ease your expectations. Next, Joe McKnight. I don't expect that he'll get too much work, but with an injury to Green and LT, McKnight is okay. But he's only a deep sleeper at this point. I wouldn't even bother starting him right now. Okay. Next, your spot starter is Toby Gerhart, and that's only if Peterson misses this next week. I would think Peterson misses next week, but if he doesn't, you'll be ready with Gerhart. Again, temper your expectations there. Moving on to wide receiver, grab. We've talked about him before, Torrey Smith. I know some of you already have him from previous video recommendation, but Smith has that breakaway speed, looked really good, and is definitely someone you need to grab. Moving on to your deep sleepers, Jerome Simpson. If AJ Green is out again, I doubt he will be. Simpson gets a lot of looks, and looks on targets from Dalton can turn into production. So PPR leaguers, Simpson is good, but really temper your expectations if AJ Green comes back. Next is Nate Burleson. I would only own him in a PPR format. Nate Burleson is not someone I would own in a TD league. Moving on, Denarius Moore. He kind of stunk last week, but really, you've got tons of injuries. Moore has to step up. I cannot see him not producing. So Denarius Moore remains on the deep sleeper, but he's got upside for sure. He's a boomer bust type player. Moving on, you have Nate Washington. There was a switch at quarterback for injury. I think Hasselbeck still is going to be at starter for sure. Don't look for Locker to come in. I didn't even put Locker on your deep sleepers because I just don't think that Locker will be starting. Okay? But Nate Washington, someone that's a deep sleeper. If you really need somebody, you can look to him. Next is Earl Bennett. Earl Bennett would be somebody, whose value we don't know. With Cutler going out, we don't know who Hanie's main target's going to be. And because it's a fill-in quarterback, drop that value. But Bennett's a deep sleeper. And finally, Riley Cooper. Keep an eye on Riley Cooper, someone that I'm just looking at due to the sheer number of targets he's getting. But Riley Cooper could be somebody that you might stash. But, just temper your expectations there. And finally, your spot starter is Jabar Gaffney. Rex Grossman definitely looks his way. I wouldn't mind starting Gaffney if I really needed to in a PPR type format. Finally, I have one tight end for you. He's a spot starter. He's putting up okay numbers every week in Buffalo. That's Scott Chandler. Just his production every week makes him someone that I look at. He's got TD upside also, so really not a bad spot starter. And that's it. So for week 12, if you have questions, you can look to me on Facebook, facebook.com/Hatty Waiver Wire Guru. and I'll answer your questions. If you happen to be on Google+, you can get to my Google+ page. Just go to hattywaiverwireguru.com and you can access it from there. I've got Twitter as well. If you have questions, you can ask me on Twitter. So I'm connected. You can ask me questions and I'll get back to you. And then finally, I've got rankings coming out this week, so check out the rankings. And the website got redone. Should be a lot more, just ease of use. I went back to just a simple format. So, check out hattywaiverwireguru.com. I've got articles, links, rankings, everything you need to help win. Right now, we are focused on getting in the playoffs. That's all that matters. Yes, I love an undefeated season. I'd love to be number one in every league. But at the end of the day, you need to make your playoffs, because even in the playoffs, if you've had an undefeated season, you can still go down. But if you get to playoffs, it really doesn't matter what kind of season you had, because you can win. So let's get to the playoffs. We got to win every week, sometimes taking gambles on non-productive players and then being ready for injuries. That's why the waiver wire is so important. Good luck in week 12.